You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
So we've been asked an awful lot about Ange Postecoglou's Celtic, so I thought we would just address the comments and do a video on how Postecoglou's Celtic play. It's very nice to watch, they're very good. In fact, they're so good. If you look at what they were last season under Neil Lennon and John Kennedy when they finished miles behind Rangers, you can see this season, I'm doing a table I think is here or something like that, they're much better. So they're leading the league, their goal difference is much better, they're just a better team. And Postecoglou has made an enormous impact on how the Celtic team plays. This is what it looks like as a 4-1-4-1 or 4-3-3. The things that he's done differently to the last Celtic is that he's put a lot of aggression into them, a lot of intensity, a lot more energy, and they press really high and play a really high line, and you find like the defenders will often be, the last line will be about here, Carter Vickers and Starfelt, just keep them penned in, and opposition teams can't escape. There's some games where Celtic end up with 80+% of possession. It's pretty nuts the way they do it, and they do this with lots of short, sharp passes. So they play a lot more passes than they used to, and they get a lot more chances out of it. They are better at attacking and much better at defending as a result. Now, believe it or not, there's actually quite a few similarities between the way Postecoglou's Celtic play and teams like Pep Guardiola's Man City, which is interesting because he used to manage in Japan for the City group, so maybe some thinking there. But what they do that's very similar, other than the high press, short passing, intense high line, is they play with inside fullbacks, inverted fullbacks. So Greg Taylor is a left back, that's what he does. And you think the left backs normally go on the outside of the wingers so that they can move inside the pitch. And sometimes he does do that. But what Postecoglou's team does is very similar to what Guardiola's does. So the striker will play through the middle, that's where strikers go. And the wingers like to play 1v1 with a fullback, so they stretch the pitch. And that means that the opposition defence has to widen to be able to cover them, because this guy, if he's too short here, gives him too much space. By being out here, this naturally drags people across, and you create room for forward runs from players like the midfielders, O'Reilly, Hatate. They might come in and try and attack these spaces here, and they'll end up in the front line often. So your front five, you imagine that a lot of teams now always play with a 2-3-5. Rather than the midfielders being in the 3, the midfielders get to make late runs into the box and become part of the forward line, and they're naturally better at this than fullbacks, so it's just a better thing to do. Now, this means that in build-up you have the back 2 here, and then this 3 here. So the ball is, say they're building down the right, this is when Taylor will move really far inside the pitch to act like an extra midfielder. What they'll often do is take teams to one side, so that the opposition focuses on one side of the pitch, which again leaves a winger 1v1 with a fullback if they're in space. So say they're around here, it's a bit clustered, but you see you might get a switch from someone like Taylor, or Hatate might switch out to Abada, then he's 1v1 with a fullback. He'll often win that, especially in Scotland, because a lot of the fullbacks are garbage. You can go past them, get a ball into the box, and then you've got either Giacomakis or Kyogo, whoever's playing there, can attack it. Or you've got someone in the back post. So Giacomakis might make a run to the front post to leave this space here for Hatate to attack. And they get a lot of chances from clever movement in the box. So in Scotland, it's quite rare that teams will press Celtic out the pitch because they've just got better players and they're likely to go through them. But what you do find is that when they're trying to build like this, still teams will have pressing traps where they'll try and get tight to one of these midfielders. So what they do is Taylor moves inside here, like we said before, Ivanovic maybe around here, and then someone like Hatate will move out to this wide area so they've got an extra player, and then that creates this kind of 3v2 in these areas. So you've got Taylor, Jota, Hatate pushes out like this, and they might do the same thing on the right hand side where it might be Ivanovic is here, O'Reilly will pull out here, and that means Abada can move inside. There's that kind of rule that you get with these City group teams, like the Barcelona old Cruyff way, where you don't want to have more than 2 players in one vertical space. You can have 3 in any horizontal one. So so let's say you've got Abada can start out wide, we'll go inside here, and then just find ways to get the ball forward. Maybe Hatate then moves up here, and then Jota can move inside. So you'll find that these central midfielders pull out wide, and then once they get to here, maybe they'll rotate again, and then you'll find that you'll get players like Giacomakis can just arrive on time, or Hatate, or O'Reilly suddenly turns up the back post to get it forward. It creates a lot of space for the runners. Turnbull's been really useful for Celtic doing this. There's a few reasons for playing these sorts of inverted fullbacks, is that it helps with ball progression from the back. It means that when there's a turnover high up the pitch, they might be in position to collect it. So if Celtic attack really quickly and the ball does turn over, there's a chance that you'd be left open. If these guys were wide like this, and you're playing with a winger trying to get in forwards, you see there's a lot of space suddenly created in these sorts of areas to turn over. If you have your fullback sort of in here, it protects against the counter-attack, which is absolutely necessary when you're playing such a high aggressive press. That's what they're trying to do there. But also, when they get into this final third, and we'll push all the defenders back now, Jota's good 1v1, Abada's good 1v1, that's what you get with these guys here. But when the fullbacks get on the ball in this areas, if you hit a cross from here, it's quite difficult because you have to hang it up higher in the air to get a delivery that's going to be headerable. That's kind of harder to do. If you're here, you get this shorter kind of ball. So the difference between this kind of cross into the area, easier for defenders, especially in Scotland, all massive dudes ready to smash it away. If you're here, you get a different angle of the ball, and you can play it with more pace. You can play a lower pass because it's going to be more easy to kind of judge it. You just get many more options this kind of angle. And you think again of players who play inside the pitch who are fullbacks, like Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool. You think of João Cancelo at Man City. These are the kind of things that Postecoglou is trying to put in place. So it's to help prevent against counterattacks, but also to give himself more options. Now, we know that all these kind of tactical things work because we see it in the numbers. With a spreadsheet. Here is my, not a spreadsheet, but here's some statistics that I've made for you. Now, this was what Celtic were in 2021, last season, that's them here. 17.8 shots per 90. It's okay, now it's much more, that's better. Possession has gone up. Depending on where you look, who scored has that as an even bigger percentage jump. They use Opta data, so it's good. Passes per 90 up. Like we're saying, Postecoglou wants many short, sharp passes, and they're playing many more with more possession, and they're making use of it. But the thing is, at the back of the team, where you want to stop goals going in, they're also better. They allow fewer shots on goal this season, and also they press far more intently. PPDA refers to how many passes the opposition make before they are engaged or the team can steal the ball off of them. That's what that does. This is a really good number. It's pretty crazy actually how low this is. And match tempo described here is a thing that Wisecout does. This is all data from Wisecout. This is also better. They are a better team. And one of the things that Postecoglou has done that is so impressive is create this so quickly. So Celtic are much, much better than last season, and they've done this with an almost entirely new team. These are just the transfers in the summer they brought in. So Furuhashi has been amazing, a really big miss since he's been injured. You've got Karl Stelfeldt's come in, done really well. Abada's playing well on the right wing. Juranovic, Giacomakis, all these are first team players. All of them have played in the first team, and they've been gelled together to make this first team. But then Postecoglou signed players in winter. So again, that's another few players. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 14 new players basically. Has turned as a whole new squad that Celtic have signed, in addition to losing really important players. Odsonne Edouard left in the summer, Christopher Ajer left in the summer, Ryan Christie left, Scott Brown, club captain, talisman, everything, he went. Postecoglou's managed to gel that team together really quickly, make them phenomenally difficult to play against. Teams in Scotland just can't really keep them quiet. They thrashed Rangers, so you can even see it. If we look at the teams, this is how Celtic lined up when they played Rangers in May of the last season. They got absolutely done, 4-1. They got just destroyed by Rangers in this game. You have players like Edouard, and so Edouard's gone. So the players you got left, Turnbull, McGregor still there, Welsh is still there at the moment, Greg Taylor, and Forrest technically. All of these have changed to when we go back to our team like this. This is the team, completely different. New centre-back pairing, new full-back, McGregor doing a slightly different role than last season. Hatate, O'Reilly, they signed really good players in the Japanese market especially, at really good prices. Jota's done very well known, Giacomakis, Abada. All these transfers have worked, and that's not always the case with Celtic, where the scouting's not been that great for the last little while. They needed a big renewal of players, and they've got it and done very well. Now with this team, they were able to beat Rangers 3-0 I think it was, and they absolutely destroyed them. Rangers could barely get out of their own half, and they've gone from getting done at Ibrox to suddenly being in charge of the game at Celtic Park and demolishing them. It's a complete turnaround, really impressive job from Postecoglou. Lots of similarities from other managers playing with these inverted fullbacks, and there's clear reason for it, but the way they play with the aggression, the intensity, and the short, sharp passing, and they're just good to watch. They're really good. And that's what Celtic are like under Postecoglou. So I hope I've answered all your comments. If I did, then give it a like. It helps the video and the algorithm. And that's it. We'll see you next time.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is where the Ralph Rangnick to Manchester United story broke, where a team of journalists have provided unrivaled coverage of Newcastle United's new ownership, and where dedicated writers cover every Premier League team no matter their place in the table. And you can try it free now for 30 days.